Hello again, this is part 6 of the FND series and chronic fatigue series. This is ways that we can help ourselves with work and benefits. Yeah, obviously it's going to vary depending on what your situation and the level of your disability at this point in time. Find out where your local advice centre is, such as the Citizens Advice Bureau, if you're doing things like, well, if you're needing help with anything financial, I'd say. The only thing is just be mindful, see if you can double check if it's, there's different kinds of advice centres around, but some of them I know have been, well, I believe some of them have been criticised for, if you apply for benefits or appeals through them, my understanding is that it's logged as the date it's the date you complete it with them, rather than the date that it's received by the DWP. That's an arrangement they have with them. I don't know which advice centre it is, but I did read that a few months ago. So be mindful of that, because that might lose you valuable time, if that makes sense. My understanding is most places wouldn't do that. They'd, you know, it's logged from when it's received. That's normal. Benefitsandwork.co.uk, it's a really good website for offering benefits advice and claim help. It's complicated, but you are not going to find anything that isn't complicated. The benefit system's horrible, and I won't pretend to you it isn't. But they are really useful. You can sign up for regular updates, but there's plenty of free advice on there as well. By the way, all these people I keep talking about, they're just people that I like, organisations that I particularly like. I don't, you know, I'm not getting commission from anybody or anything like that. Obviously they're a charitable organisation anyway, so it's a bit different, but one thing I would say, you could get the disability handbook as well, but it's very big, very wordy, very complicated, and quickly becomes outdated, so I'd save you money probably. I know this is a big ask, because not everybody's going to have the same support network that others are. If you possibly can, get someone else to deal with the DWP. It's too hard for any mere mortal, but if you've got a neuro condition, just, if you can manage it, you're a better man or woman than I am, that's all I can say. But for me, it's unreasonably complicated, and it's unreasonably stressful, and well, it renders me powerless. I'm scared of nothing, but the DWP do scare me, I must say, because I'm snookered if they don't give me money. But yeah, there are, you can deal with them by telephone and that sort of thing. You know, I've had friends phone them up to complete an application for me before, and you will always have to be present though if somebody else is ringing and dealing with the DWP. They are meant to offer you home assessments if they're coming to, if they need to assess you. If you go to any meeting about benefits or assessing your new needs, have a friend with you, or an advocate at the very, somebody who knows what your needs are, and can paint a worst picture, if that makes sense, because the way the system works is that you have to, well, you basically have to paint yourself on your worst day, because because it fluctuates so much, because your symptoms fluctuate so much with these illnesses. But I think with me, certainly the first time I had to go for one of these assessments, I think it was for my PIP, and I was terrified. But I think it's human nature to try and put, it's the least helpful thing to do in that situation, but I was trying to put a brave face on it, and not just a brave face, but I was being quite proud, I think, and just not very good at saying I'm not coping, because I'm hardwired to go, I'm all right, I am coping. Also, when it's anything complicated, that friend is going to be invaluable in, you know, helping you understand things later. Taking notes at the time would be really useful, that kind of thing. And just have somebody on your side. Take an advocate to any important meeting as well. Again, it's complicated stuff. It's very complicated stuff. I didn't realise, I opted to go alone in my work meetings, and I'm not criticising anybody who was present for that, because I genuinely believed I was able to navigate that on my own. I wasn't, I've got to be honest. It took me a long time to realise how challenged you are mentally when you develop a disorder like this, and I just don't digest, especially audio information. I don't digest it well at all. And you know, at the time I was in such a bad way because it was relatively early into my illness that I don't even know where the paperwork is now. I'm going to have to revisit the decisions that were made with regards to my pension and all sorts of things, because I wasn't prepared. And I was very, very ill at the time, and found it difficult for whatever reason to ask for more help, partly because, like I say, I honestly thought I was better than I was. But make sure your records are great, and make sure you've got somebody to help you see that happens. Make sure you understand about things like termination of contract on medical grounds and ill health retirement. I assumed wrongly that everybody in these kind of meetings are well versed in these things, but they're not at all. And all the information I was directed to with regards to work and pensions, just I had no comprehension of it at all. The websites were too complicated. The phone lines just directed you to the websites. So get somebody who's without wanting to be rude, firing on all cylinders, to help you out. It's just too much. Obviously, if you've not got somebody, go back to your doctor and say, look, I need an advocate, I need a disability rights, somebody to help me. Obviously, this setup is going to, you know, certain types of employment this won't apply to, I realise that, but I do think in most, well, any meetings, in my opinion, if you possibly remember to make an audio recording, it can really help you out. You don't have to worry about taking notes that way. You've got proof, although that's honestly not the reason I started doing it. But the more important thing is you can check things again, things that you weren't unclear of. So I'd definitely recommend that. With your doctor too, ask if you can make audio recordings. Makes perfect sense. I'm sure they won't mind. Explain to your friends and relatives how they can help. I personally, for instance, I'm perfectly comfortable with my friends. I've got a self-propelling wheelchair that I use when I'm out. I don't use my electric one, and I can't go far on it. But my friends know now that I'll sort of manage myself for a very short distance, like going inside the toilet. But most of the time, I need somebody to push me because I haven't got the physical energy to do it. I'm used to using electric at home. But equally, you'll be in a different place. You'll have different, comfort zones, and be explicit with your own support network. What's right for you. One thing I just want to mention that I forgot from the last episode was just when you're telling people about your illness and trying to make people understand about your illness, there's some, if you go on butyoudon'tlook.sick.com, and there's something called the spoon theory, which is a really, really useful way to try and explain chronic fatigue to somebody. It's really good. And there's also things like the ME Association, FND Hope and FND Action. They're all charities and they're good sources of information too. The next part will be, I believe, part 7. Goodness, I'm surprised if you're not bored yet. I really hope some of these are helpful. Part 7, ways that we can help ourselves with self-care. So I'll see you back for that one.